Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric Menk. Today we're going to talk about Gilas. Now, about 10 days ago, I put out a video and it did very well, over 400 comments, over 30,000 views, talking about the changes that I would like to suggest with Gilas Pilipinas going forward. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for the response that you gave me. You guys are obviously very passionate about Gilas and have a lot of thoughts on how Gilas can improve, get better, and move forward, gearing up for the 2023 World Cup. So thank you guys, and this is the channel where you're going to find a lot of basketball information, coaching basketball information, but living in the Philippines, we're going to talk a lot of Gilas. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd like to encourage you to do so. Also, if you can hit the notification bell so you can get updated when I release a new video. And if you like this type of content, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up like button. Now, since we last talked about Gilas, quite a few things have happened, which has been very refreshing. It's been refreshing to see the SBP already, not even a month out of the World Cup, already initiate some changes. One of my top 5 changes I suggested was to bring in a consultant or an advisor, a guy with international FIBA experience to make sure the Philippines is training the right way in preparation for a major world FIBA international competition. And I made a couple suggestions, and it seems to me somebody was listening, and that is actually thanks to you guys for giving my video as much exposure as you did and giving it the feedback that it received. But one of the guys I mentioned was Tab Baldwin. Now, the SBP is already in discussions with Coach Tab to come on as a program director. Now, I'm not sure what the program director definition is, but it sounds a lot like a consultant or an advisor. I can't think of a better person to be a program director than Coach Tab Baldwin. He has had success locally coaching. He's currently going for his 3rd UAAP title. He's had success internationally. He's coached multiple national teams. He had a lot of success in New Zealand when he coached there. He's coached in Europe. And he also lives right here in the Philippines. He's the former Gilas head coach. So there's a lot of work to be done. I'm sure there is some negotiations to be had before Coach Tab can accept the position of program director. But just the fact that the SBP recognizes his importance and his value as a resource right here in the country is very encouraging. We'll see what happens after the SEA Games, but I'm hoping that Tab can come to an agreement with the SBP so he can, in fact, actually become our full-time program director. I don't know where they'd put him at Ateneo. I know they love him there. I know the players and the alumni all love him there. So again, there's a lot of things to negotiate, but it's nice to see that they've already initiated talks with Coach Tab, and I hope that he signs on. That would be great. The second thing that has happened is Tim Cone is now the new Gilas Pilipinas head coach. He's the winningest coach ever in the PBA. He's got the most titles, coaches the most popular team. He's also coached internationally. Granted, that was in 1998. He was the Team Philippines head coach back then, the national team for the 8th Centennial Asian Games team that got a bronze medal. But if you look at the coaches actually here in the country, if the SBP isn't open to hiring a foreign coach, which I'm kind of on the fence whether they should do that or not, I'll let them, they're the people that are going to decide it. Tim Cone's here locally. I'm not sure anybody else in the country has a better resume than him. So it's nice to see him coach the SEA Games. With that said, it is still yet to be determined how long Coach Tim Cone will be in the program. He's signed on to coach the SEA Games, which is nice because Yang Gao stepped down. Thank you, Coach Yang, for your service. But we needed a coach. We needed somebody to lead us into the SEA Games. So he signed on for that. Hopefully, I'm sure they will, again, there's a lot of negotiations to be done, a lot of politics behind the scenes. But getting a long-term coach would be ideal. That's what we need, especially because we're gearing up for 2023. We're hosting the World Cup in 2023. So we want to perform to the best of our ability. And to prepare for that, we got to start as soon as now. It looks like they kind of put that off till after the SEA Games. But having Tim Cone in the front door, having him be part of the program, despite, for a long time, the MVP group financially backed the Gilas Pilipinas program. And as far as I know, they still are. So to bring in a coach from the San Miguel Corporation side to be the head coach for this SEA Games is, I think, a semi-breakthrough, because these guys don't like to work together. They have their own opinion, different opinions. They like to bring in their guys. So for the MVP group to bring in a San Miguel Corporation, a Barangay Ginebra head coach to be the head coach for Gilas, I think is a step in the right direction. Hopefully they can continue to work together to bring the best opportunities and the best resources to Gilas Pilipinas. And lastly, I want to talk about the Gilas pool for the 2019 SEA Games that they just released. They just released a 15-man pool. I'll put that lineup up on the board so you can check it right now. So if you take a look at that 15-man roster, a couple things really stood out to me, and I think stood out to a number of people because I've seen people comment on it on Twitter. And we got 6 Ginebra players. Tim Cone explained that the reason he chose 6 Ginebra players is because he only has 8 practices, 8 sessions to train the guys to get ready for the SEA Games. So he wanted the core of the team to already know his system and help the rest of the guys along to learn the system. Limited time, limited prep, get guys that are familiar with the system. Another thing that stood out to me is they excluded a lot of the young guys. Balik and CJ Perez played so well in the World Cup, or they showed flashes of it anyways, they weren't included. Some of the guys in college that have shown some promise were not included. Some other young PBA players in their first or second year were not included. So we went with mostly a veteran lineup, and I think whether you agree with that or not, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but they have a lineup that's going to be very formidable for the SEA Games. Couple questions about the lineup. Let's talk about that for a second. One, if we're gearing up for 2023, I'm not sure why they have so many players that are 30 or older. If we're trying to develop a program, it would be nice to develop the younger guys, think long term, think 3 years down the road, because a lot of these guys in their 30s now are going to be in their mid-30s or late 30s. And some of these guys are already in their mid-30s. Probably not a good idea to have a lot of 37-year-old pluses on a national team, a senior national team. That's just athletics. Basketball is a young guy's sport. That's the first thing I noticed. That's my argument against Tim Cone, or against their selection. Okay, you got veteran guys. I understand why you got veteran guys. But I think an influx of some of the younger guys, especially the PBA players that are in their first or second year, to give them some experience in international competition, get their roots in place for 2023, I don't think that would be a bad thing either. I personally would have liked to seen some younger guys. The reason being is so that we could use this as a preparation already for the 2023 World Cup. As it looks right now, it looks like after the SEA Games, that's when they're going to start preparing. It might be a new coach. There's going to be a new pool. We don't know what's going to happen after the SEA Games. We're going to have to wait and see. The second thing that was a question to me are guys like Stanley Pringle, guys like Christian Sandhardinger, guys like Chris Ross. I have a lot of respect for all 3 of those players. But my question is are these guys even eligible to play in a FIBA competition as locals for the Philippines? I thought that Sandhardinger and Pringle would have to be naturalized players, and I believe that they both have played as nationalized players for us in bigger competitions. Unless you're thinking about making these guys one of our naturalized players, I'm not sure what Chris Ross's status is, but seeing how he hasn't been part of Gilas before, I don't know what his status is as a local or as a naturalized player. But I'm not sure why we added guys that can only play as naturalized players in the bigger FIBA World competitions. Those guys would just be taking up spots that other guys that are deserving and capable. I'm not saying those guys aren't deserving. Those guys are good. But do you understand what I'm saying? If they're not eligible to play as locals for the Philippines in major competitions, then why are they playing for us there at the SEA Games? That's a question that I have. Maybe there's a good answer. If you have a good answer and you know it, place it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to be educated because guess what? I don't know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. It's nice to see guys like Greg Slaughter on board. It's nice to see Matthew Wright, who I know was injured for the World Cup. Marcio Lassiter was injured for the World Cup. Or another question that I have is Jason Castro. Jason Castro, I get it, dude. Everywhere I go, people ask me, how come Jason Castro isn't on the team? How come he's not playing in the World Cup? I certainly see that side of it, but also knowing friends that know Jason Castro really well is, hey man, the guy's been playing for the national team in every major competition for the last 10 years. And when he comes back to the local league, when TNT plays San Miguel or when TNT plays Ginebra, the guards on the team he's expected to beat while he was working his ass off for the national team, they were on vacation resting. He's been worn down a lot over the last 10 years, wanted a break. I get it. He doesn't get any extra money for playing on the national team. So the guy was tired. They've worn him down. But it is a little confusing why you would play in the SEA Games and not play in the World Cup. You know, I think everyone in the country wanted to see him play in the World Cup. And then, you know, we'll give him a pass on the SEA Games. But now he's on the SEA Games roster after not playing in the World Cup. That stood out to me, but it's good to have him back. I actually wish they would have rested him so he could be in fresh for some qualifiers later on down the line, but it's good to have him back. So overall, I like the steps that Gilas Pilipinas is taking. There's still a lot of questions. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of work to be done. Will they actually bring on, for real, Tab Baldwin as a program director? Will Tim Cohn stay after the SEA Games? What is the pool lineup going to look like after these SEA Games? Are they going to put in some younger guys to give them some prep time for 2023? Some of these Phil foreigners, what is their status? Ross, Steinharger, and Pringle, are they able to play for us as locals or are they only eligible as naturalized players? Those would be my questions. And also the big one that's looming over all of that is now, who's going to be the financial backer of Gilas Pilipinas moving forward? Is it going to be the MVP group? Are they going to work together with the San Miguel group? There's been a lot of tension in the past. The San Miguel Corporation not allowing their players on Gilas. There was a long time of that thing going on. It looks like they finally have come together and the right players are available, but will that continue? And when we're searching for a coach, will that continue? Will a San Miguel group coach be the head coach working with a program director from the MVP group? Remains to be seen, but that's the big one. If those guys can work together, they're going to give Gilas Pilipinas the best opportunity to succeed. If they are unable to work together, it could be another mess and we could be frustrated in the future. Now, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to be updated whenever I upload video. I love to make this an open discussion with you guys. If you have a comment, a question, or a suggestion, please put it in the comments below. I love reading them, and I want to have this be a healthy community where we can throw ideas back and forth. That's the only way people might take notice of what the fans think, what I think, and we can put something together to point us in the right direction. I'll see you very soon. Take care.